Hello, we're the Boat Boys. This is our boat. We're going to run you through everything on it and the work that we've done so far. It's currently the 30th of October 2023. We're in Gran Canaria. Hopefully we're going to be going across the Atlantic, so things will change over the next few months. We just wanted to take you through everything and see where we're at now and what's going to change over the next few months. Oh.
So, Morning Sky, which is the boat we live on, as you can know, is a Nicholson 32. She was built in 1964, so she's quite an old girl. She's 9.8 metres long, 2.7 on the beam, and she draws 1.7 metres down. That's what we tell people. She's a little bit bigger than that and all things, but it makes it a bit cheaper if we tell people that. That's probably it. Up on the foredeck, most of the foredeck is pretty dead space for living. It's storage. We got Wolf surfboards that sadly have never come out of their case so far. We'll get them out one day and we'll go surfing. The anchor windlass that broke and we didn't fix, it fixed itself, because if you leave problems long enough they will fix themselves eventually. That's what we use to stop ourselves going anywhere when we're at anchor, like we are now. We double everything back to the big Samson post. That's should be the strongest point on the boat. It's not as strong as we'd like it to be, but we use it as the strong point. So when we go into dock, we use it to keep mooring lines. When we're going at anchor, we use it to hold the chain, and it's just a good strong point to tie down to. That's a whisk pole. We use that for keeping the foresails out when we're going downwind, because otherwise they just bang and slap all around the place. We wish her a bit longer for the spinnaker, basically. It doesn't quite do what it should do, but it's 90% there. These are the jack stays down here. They're what we use to clip into, so when you're on your own or when you're going at night or when you're on a big passage, we've always got a life jacket on most of the time, and that's got a little leash in it that we clip into, so we clip onto those. We sewed those ourselves, so you know how much we trust them is a bit whatever. But yeah, those should hopefully stop us falling off the boat if anyone was to. Thank God no one has, and we know what to do if anyone does. On the mast, we got, this is the sail cover that, again, it broke, but we fixed it. It used to have a zip on the front of it, but we put this Velcro on instead because it doesn't break, and the zip very much did, so we've sewed that up brand new. There's a couple of winches for keeping halyards up, for raising and lowering sails and whatnot. Reefing winch down here, that's for making the mainsail smaller when we're in higher winds than we'd like to be in. We just make the sail a little bit smaller and you keep them going at the right speeds. This, very helpful. This is a winch handle pocket that I made out of a bit of leather that we had left over, because we'd keep running up here to go and do jobs, take sails up, take sails down, or whatever. You'd always get up here, realise you don't have a winch handle, so we made a winch handle pocket to stay up here. That's a life raft. It's the newest thing on the boat, the only new thing on the boat, because all of our parents insisted that we do buy a new life raft. God be willing, it will stay there forever and ever and ever, and we'll never have to use it. But we know what to do if we do have to use that very, very expensive piece of kit.
Right, welcome. This is our cockpit of Morning Sky. This is where our jib sheets run back to. In the actual cockpit itself, we've got two big cockpit lockers. In these cockpit lockers on the starboard side, we have like diesel primarily, and then we have like barbecue, coals, random stuff like a kayak. In this port cupboard, we have petrol, swimming gear, goggles, wetsuits, that sort of stuff. We try to keep our petrol and diesel cans completely separate, just to make sure that we don't mix them, because our outboard takes petrol and our boat engine takes diesel. And then going further back, obviously we have a tiller, then we have our lazarette. In our lazarette there's spare lines, there's our propane for our camping gas, which is actually out at the moment, so we have no gas, and other stuff like our pump for our dinghy, random stuff like that. It's just a big cupboard that you can just throw loads of stuff in. On our very back of our boat, we have our auto helm tracker. It's like sort of an Aries but it's not. It's called a tracker. Don't really know much about it. We bought it off the yard that we used to live on, Freeman's. Shout out, best yard in the world. We've started getting it working, and we've took a while to actually get it working. Lots of tinkering needs to be done, but yeah, it's getting working, and it's going to be amazing when it is. Then we have next to it, we have our outboard that currently isn't working because we accidentally dunked it in the sea. One stormy day, we were hit with 55 knots of wind, and our dinghy flipped over whilst we weren't in it, and so it drunk lots of salt water and now doesn't work, so we need to fix it. We made the plate for the back just to throw it on, lash it on the back. Above me here is the solar panels. We have 350 watts worth of solar. We never hook up to electricity. This sorts us out. This is more than enough than we ever need. We don't really use much electricity, but these 2 solar panels alone to cover us completely. In between the 2 of them is a GPS antenna, which at the moment isn't working. Another thing that's not working. We've seemed to break everything at the moment, but this is for our AIS. It gives us our position for AIS, and then the AIS tells the rest of the instruments where we are GPS wise. Down by the tiller we have buckets. We have 2 black ones, 1 yellow one. Our yellow one is sort of an everything bucket. We've put fish in it, we've washed up in it, we've thrown up in it, everything really. It's just sort of anything goes bucket, not very nice really. And then we have 2 black ones that we just exclusively use for laundry. Don't know why we're so picky on the laundry and not the washing, but yeah, that's why we have 3 different buckets. So on the other side of our cockpit we have our instruments. So we have our depth and speed. Our speed doesn't work, but the depth does, we think. Compass, winches and bilge pump, which the bilge handle lives here, but the bilge pump is down here. That's a manual bilge pump. And on this side we have a GPS clipper. It just tells us our GPS coordinates. That's it really. We got a spray hood. Doesn't really work. It's a bit tatty, but it works if it's really horrible weather. It'll do. We were going to build a Dodger, but we never got around to it. Under the spray hood, we have our kicker. So this, when we're underway, we can cinch this down. This cinches the mast down. When we're going upwind, it changes the sail shape. So that's the kicker. And that's about it for the cockpit.
Hello, welcome to the galley. This is where the boys keep me when I'm misbehaving. Over here, we'll start in this section. This is our sink area. We've got our clean water tap that's plumbed into our water tanks. This is a salt water tap that comes straight out of the sea that we plumbed in ourselves, just that we don't waste our normal water. We can use that for washing down bowls, pasta water, things like that. That doesn't need to be our clean stuff. Under here, we've got our switch panel where we can control all our electrics. So you can do all the lights, you can do our VHF and everything, just from here. This is all our bowl and plate storage. It's all nice and neatly organised so that things don't slide around in these little pockets. We got a kettle. Thank you, Will Christie, for our gift. The handle gets really hot. It's a bit of a joke, isn't it, really? But we're grateful for you. In here, this is where we keep all our fresh food that's been opened. We keep all our spices. We've also got like bin bags and tea towel and like kitchen roll and things like that. We've got some little Tupperwares. That's a new addition. They're all got our names on the lids so that we can evenly share out snacks for passengers and things. This is our gimbal. We made it ourselves with the help of a lovely friend, James Handley, back in Falmouth. The hobs themselves are just a camping gas stove that we bought when we first moved to Falmouth, like 2 years ago. Cost us £10, still going now. It's literally just slotted into a stainless steel plate that's got 2 arms that come up to gimbals from our old tailor's cooker. Underneath we have all our pots and pans and chopping boards. This handy little box here is our MPPT for controlling our solar into our batteries. It's got a nice little screen. It's also got a Bluetooth adapter that connects to an app on your phone that you can check everything, so you don't have to crouch down and get in a cupboard. Under here is our engine, but we'll come back to that later because that's its own segment. We've also got This is our red light system that I'm not going to take credit for and say we installed. This was just Wilf that installed it. It's so that we can keep our night vision on passage in the night time, and you can control that from the switchboard. We've got our handy fire extinguisher next to our fire blanket. This is just quick and easy to grab if anything goes wrong in the kitchen or with the engine or whatever. This whole segment here really is just like a handy wire full of useful things like head torches, other torches, you know, bits and bobs that we can quickly grab. Got a tea towel rack. This is just a middle table that pretty much everything happens on. It's always full of stuff. It's nice and clean for you now though. Okay, filming now.
This is our engine. She's a beauty. She's a Buick DV24, so she's a 24 horsepower engine. We treat her terribly, but she starts first time, every time. Exactly what we need for the boat. Not the original engine that came with the boat. It was put in somewhere in I think 1984, something like that. All the way back there. The engine carries on for another metre or so back into the cupboard, and then coming back you've got prop shaft and all the stuff that sends it to the propeller to actually drive the boat. Various saltwater inlets and outlets. This is the most important one. This is the one that keeps the engine cool. Battery to start the engine, and then a whole nest of wires in here that only Wilf understands and runs the entire boat. Boom.
Alright, so here we've got like the navigation corner. Well, it's the navigation corner purely because of the nav tables here. There's plenty of things here that aren't related to navigation, like fishing rod, which we did, for example. Wilf put these lovely little Velcro straps to hold the fishing rod up in. The fishing rod is Rob Boone's. We swapped it for a Skoda. David, what Skoda was it? Octavia. We swapped it for a Skoda. That one. Then from there we got this. We call it the handy shelf. It's not particularly handy because it's filled with clutter. A wet locker, which is where we keep our life jackets and our gear when it's wet, when we're coming for like a night sail. We got our 12-volt charging. That's pretty essential to just kind of keep us going. We use it to like charge our laptop. We have an inverter for it. That's pretty good. This is shore power. We pretty much never connect to it, but it's there just in case we need it. It's like we got a handheld VHF. That's next to our actual VHF radio. With that, we've got a GPS, we've got an AIS, which also, like a lot of things you found in this video, doesn't work at the moment. We've got an EPIRB here, which is pretty good. You just kind of like, that just lets people know when we're in massive danger, really. There's more to an EPIRB than that, but someone else, you can look it up. In here, we got like, this is our medicine cupboard. We got like, well, mainly medicine, like tobacco. And we keep our GoPro in here, you know, Diorite, whatever. Cameras, like maybe like cash and stuff. It's just like a good place to store stuff. In the nav table we have like navigation things as well as our iPad, which we keep here. Haven't looked in here in a while, so it's, you know, it's all fresh to me. Under that we've got the random cupboard, which could be shoes, it could be water, depends on the week of the year. Right now it's water though. That's pretty good because our water tanks don't work. Next to it we've got, creatively called the white cupboard. That's where we keep like our mooring lines. We've got a baler in there. We've got a dustpan brush, kind of like, you know, mooring stuff and also sort of cleaning stuff, I guess. And that's the nav table section.
Welcome. I'm going to do this side of the saloon. We'll start in this lovely corner. On this wall, we've got all our postcards of almost everywhere we've been to so far. We're missing Falmouth, Brest, some other places, but we didn't buy postcards there, and now we can't go back and get them. So this is everywhere so far. We've got this handy little compass as a spare that just pops out this holder. You can use it wherever you are. Good. It's really good for when you're all hanging out in here and the tracker's doing its thing or trying to. You sit and stare at this one instead of the one outside. Nice fan. We use these all the time. Thank you, Charlie Stringer, for buying them for us. This cupboard here, we call this the fish cupboard. It used to have just fishing gear in it. Now it's sort of everything. It's an everything cupboard. We keep all our boat documents in here just so that they're easy to grab. It's a bit of a state at the moment. We've got like a sewing kit, a hand reel for fishing, all of our fishing lures and like spare fishing line. We've got a few sailing books in here just stored away because they don't fit in the bookshelf that we'll get to in a bit. Yeah, just all sorts of bits and bobs like paracord and stuff. Our courtesy flags, easy grab stuff. This is our bookshelf. These are all the books that we're currently reading and like our Kindles and things like that. We've also got a big bag of earplugs. Any books that we're not reading end up on this side. We'll show you that later. This is our pole cupboard, the longest cupboard in the boat. Inside here is everything. We've got sets of oars, we've got paddles for the top of the tracker, we've got the table that normally lives in there but we can take it out and pop it in the middle of the saloon. Our boat hook, just all sorts, everything. Our big roll of fiberglass just in case. Loads and loads and loads of bits and bobs. This is one of the berths. We rotate berths all the time, so no one's got their own spot. We're on passage most of the time anyway, so we just sort of rotate whatever's easiest, and you know, you swap out. Normally we on passage just use these three. Don't really use the V-berth that often. That's where everything gets thrown into. But it's good having 3 people all in here, because if anyone needs to get out, you know, you can hear someone if they shout, and you just swap each other in when you come in off shift. Under here, you can top down access from under the cushion, but in all these cupboards, we'll start from the left. This is our spares cupboard. So we've got loads of spare parts that we either took off the boat and decided to keep for later, just in case we need to throw it back on. Loads of like shackles, D-shackles, snap shackles, all sorts of bits and bobs like that. Spare bottle screws, things like that. This cupboard here, flares. It's pretty much taken up entirely by a box of flares. I won't open this one because I know that everything will fall out. This cupboard here, on the right hand side, is our first section of food storage. We keep dry store stuff and like fresh veg in here, so it's vegetables, fruit, bread, wraps, things like that all go in here. We keep our fruit and our veg separate purely for ease of, if you need vegetables you get the veg bag out, if you need fruit you get the fruit bag out. Underneath me, in these little hatches, we have the tops of our water tanks. So there are 3. These 2, and then this whole floor panel comes out, and there's another one here. We've got 220 litres of water. We always go on about it. Our tanks aren't the best right now. They're not in the best state. We lined them with some lining that you paint it with. Long story, you guys already know. The water doesn't taste good when you boil it, so we don't really use those. We just use bottles for now. Under the table mount, over here, in this one, this is literally just booze. You live on a boat and there's no pubs at sea, so this is what we do. We have collected a lot of different types of booze over the last few months and the year that we were living on a boat before leaving. Yeah, there's all sorts. There's rum, there's gin, there's whiskey. We got a bottle of port from, oh, that's not it. We got a bottle of port that's seen better days, from 1927. That's our Caribbean port that we're gonna open when we get there.
It's probably the most valuable thing on the boat.
I think so, yeah. I do think so. In this cupboard, oh, we got takeaway boxes and some energy drinks. This one's the more important one. This we sort of use as a fridge. We just throw like cheese and butter and things in there in Tupperwares. It's like the coldest bit of the boat. We don't have a real fridge, so that's where like dairy stuff goes and like open milk that we've used. This one under here, which also extends further back. This is more water storage. We use these little bladder bag things. Again, thank you Charlie for buying those for us. I don't know how many of those we've got. We've got like a good 35 litres, I think.
7.
Yeah, we got 7 of them. We got 35 litres. I quick math that.
Yeah.
We got 35 litres in here. Yeah, it's just extra storage for water. And normally when we use them, we just whack them in there as well, just so that we can see exactly what we've got.
The port side saloon. As you can see, I can't stand up. It's not very tall in here. I got a bad back from just leaning over all the time. Up here, this is what we call the cot berth. It is a berth. I can fit in it. It's just a very small one. Very nice. And then at the end of the cot berth, there's a cupboard for food. Yeah, just food storage that we use. And then under the cot berth, you can lift this up, and under here is all storage. So we have what we call our library, all the books that we're not reading at the moment go in there. In here we just have random stuff that we don't need to get to easily. So we have like our shore power hookup that we never use, hammocks, tarps, sleeping bag, extra sleeping bags, that sort of stuff. David's old laptop is all in there. And then we got this, which is another berth. This is what we use normally for like one person normally always sleeps here. And then under here we have 3 cupboards. These 2 are primarily the tin store for food. So like anything that won't go off, any tins, anything sealed goes in here. And then under this one is quite important because this one's where our leisure batteries are. So under here we have our leisure battery, which is we think 230 lithium amp hours. I'm pretty sure that's right, yeah. Yeah, that's our beast of a battery that's done us really well so far. And then we have just cup storage up here. Here underneath this shelf is like our cutlery and our like utensils. Yeah, and that's the port side saloon.
This is the heads. This is where all the nasty business goes down in the boat. This cupboard behind me is where we keep mostly our weather gear. We've got some spare dry bags in here, a few spare clothes, warm things that we're never going to wear again. My suit jacket that I'm just waiting for a good excuse to crack out. Big party in the Caribbean, I reckon. Over here, on the other side of the toilet, is a sink. This is where we do sink things, like washing hands, and like it's a sink. All of our toothbrushes here. We found this thing, didn't know what it was for, screwed it to the wall. Toilet roll holder. But toothbrush holder. We haven't got a toilet roll holder. This is another cupboard. It's full of stuff. This cupboard's a lot more cohesive. It's sort of all bathroom related stuff. And my vitamins. This cupboard. So we keep our tools. Once again, it's an absolute state, but we've got a nice healthy tool bag and a few sort of power tools and some acetone and grease and paint and all sort of the gnarly stuff that you need to do any sort of work on a boat, you know, all that sort of stuff. Hammers. There's lots of hammers in there. Cable ties and sandpaper, okay, you know, all that stuff. This is the wonkometer. It tells us how wonky we are. The toilet is a Baby Blake's. It's probably original to the boat. We've done a lot of work to this toilet. It's sort of my baby because I'm the only one mucky enough to deal with the toilet. It's a bit of a ball ache. What we should have done is put it in the sea. We should have disposed responsibly of the toilet by selling it for money because they're worth quite a lot of money. And bought a Jabsco Plastic Fantastic toilet that works every time, all the time, because this, I spend quite a lot of my time cleaning and greasing and lubricating. And we once rebuilt the toilet in its entirety when we were in Falmouth on the hard, getting the boat ready to go, because of an incident that we'll make a whole video about one day when we're all brave enough to tell that harrowing story.
Hey, welcome to the V-berth. This is where the magic happens. There's plenty of things in the V-berth. I say plenty, there's about 3. First, these beds, we sleep on them. That's their entire purpose, sometimes also storage. Under the beds, we have where we store all our clothes. like in this really hard to open drawer. That's where Ben and Wolf store their clothes. On the other side, it's where me and David store our clothes. Right here is where we store all our anchor chain. Now, we don't normally get professional work done, but as you can see, we've got a professional chippy to come extend this anchor locker for us because, well, it's just we wanted it to look nice. I think his name was Arthur Morrison. After that, there's not much else actually in the V-berth, but if you get a bit further down, like, so you find yourself in our sail locker, and it's not only got sails, it's also got anchors.
So that was it. That's our boat. That's where we keep everything. That's how we live. I think we covered everything. If you've got any questions, drop a comment, and we'll be sure to get back to you and let you know more information about why on earth we do this.